Welcome to Deep Dive Webinar Volume 8. We've got a great webinar in store for you today. We will be deep diving into catalog, inventory, and purchase ordering on the back of our recent developments for catalog imaging and, of course, the fantastic Hafele LiveSync integration via our API. So we thought this made sense as a follow-on from there. If you started to take advantage of the catalog and you're now looking towards being able to purchase order and manage your inventory automatically through the system, see the roundhouse loop of how the software or how Jobman can really help you improve those processes and minimize waste, today is for you. So today we're going to cover catalog, specifically materials, and also what other things can be utilized in the catalog, inventory management, purchase ordering, and a nice quick bonus with a what's new thrown in there with our new target calendar templates. There's been some massive improvements around the target calendar handling in our system in the last couple of updates. So it's worth mentioning what some of those new changes are and how you can take advantage of those benefits and how, really how easy it is to take advantage of any of the things that we release week to week so that you're never missing out on the latest updates in your software. So what are we covering today? We're covering the catalog. The catalog in the most simplest of explanations is really your availability chart. It's everything that you might order from your suppliers. It's your raw materials base, everything that you want to bring into the system that can be either added to quotes, added as part of products, or more importantly, added as your raw material sources to then go out and purchase order so that you can manufacture. It's a very diverse idea, which is why we call it a catalog. The majority of the things you will place in there will be actual materials with SKUs to your suppliers. However, it can be used for a lot of generic information. If you've caught some of our previous webinars on quoting and advanced quoting and how you can use the system to really benefit your business from there, you'll notice that in that we set up some catalog items called quote pricing ranges. Very useful, not available to order, but used so you can use a small management area of your catalog to influence a lot of products without having to keep a mass amount of data update. One of the great things about the catalog is it's very easy to manage in our system. There's a lot of filtration points from brands right through to ranges, colors, etc. The primary key of most of your catalog will be that SKU designation. It's the thing that links directly to what your supplier wants you to order. So the automation in our software, so long as those things are in your catalog, it's easy then to add them to purchase orders and utilize them throughout the software. And as you've probably seen from a lot of our recent marketing and webinars, we now have things like imaging, descriptions, and even supplier URLs in the system. So there's a lot of information that can be gathered from this area of the software. And the whole idea is, of course, to make it easy to control and manage all your relevant ordering, purchase ordering, and stock control. So as part of that, we have a very intelligent inventory system. It is designed to allow you to basically roundhouse the full process of manufacturing in our platform. So from quoting through to the job management, time management, and then, of course, the purchase ordering of materials, as well as being able to automatically source those from your inventory to start minimizing waste and ensuring you get the most efficiency out of your manufacturing process. So our inventory platform is designed realistically as a digital area in which that you can really take advantage of, the full flow of the platform. One of the most common questions we get is if we set up the inventory and we use the automation flow of the purchase ordering in raw materials in jobs, what are some of the sideline benefits to that outside of just being able to see what I have in stock? And there's a couple of them. One of the big ones, obviously, is the automation of sourcing. So the system can do the hard work, making sure you're using things up in your warehouse. We also have a fantastic feature called locations, is an add-on to the software. But if you control multiple different warehouses or factories and you need a way in which to be able to see and diversify and report on your inventory management and where your purchase orders get sent, you can have that upgrade in your software and you can control it in multiple areas. It is fully filterable as well. And on top of that, we have bay locations, which is a big one for a lot of companies who are looking to efficiently manage their inventory control in their warehouse or factory. You can utilize bay locations to really make it easy for the team to know where everything is. You'll also notice that as part of our inventory management, a big area of Jobman is the allocation of resources to jobs. So keeping that data clean, keeping it transparent, but more importantly, making it accessible to the team to know just because you look at a shelf and you have 20 things on that shelf, do you actually have 20 things? Or 18 of them currently assigned to jobs are waiting to be picked? And the system is designed to help your team digitally pick that up all the time and keep it up to date. So at a glance, you know exactly where you're up to, what's going on. And of course, you can report on that data. So a big part of that is our purchase ordering management. Now, there's a couple of ways to place purchase orders in our system. What we're going to focus on today is the bulk management of purchase ordering because it makes the most sense for businesses. Realistically, 90% of the time, you'll be adding resources to jobs ready to be ordered. They may not be ready to push into manufacturing yet, so they might be future ordering or current ordering. But the idea is we don't want to place orders necessarily every day for independent suppliers because you can end up copying a lot of freight, for example. So one of the great advantages of our system is what we call batch ordering. What it means is as you're adding jobs and as you're adding materials to those jobs, they will automatically go to a section of your software called pending items. And then it's literally one click on the supplier and those pending items, and we will create the total purchase order across those jobs for that supplier. So it becomes really easy and efficient to manage. And also then we will provide you with the transparency around, when it's been ordered, when it's been received or partially received, has it been split? All of those things can be managed in the purchase ordering system, which is very good. One of the other benefits to that, of course, is that we do have a secondary ability to order in the system, and that is that you can purchase order directly from a job. So for companies that do large scale projects where they intentionally might order materials just for a particular job and or add stock just for that particular job or work order, and then they like to manage that independently, it can be done as well in the system, but we're going to focus primarily today on the batch ordering. I can quickly show you where to place a purchase order to job if you'd like to see it as well. And the bonus material today, of course, is the target calendar improvements. There are a couple of big releases that came out this week. One was we've provided better transparency around the information presented on the target calendar now. So as your target calendar presents in what's called a 5-week view. So it's the 4 weeks of the month, but then any dates that fall either side of that month are visible on the month view on the calendar. That's very important because a lot of jobs and leads obviously will track across months. The printing will now represent that, which is a big upgrade. I know a lot of people are looking forward to that. So you can see the allocations, and you can see here, I can pick up the operations due on days outside of the current month that I'm looking at as well, just so I have really clear transparency around that look, and it gives a bit more advantage to the target calendar from a visibility and organizational point of view. One of the other big upgrades is we've updated the PDF printing of the calendar. So a couple of new opportunities there, which I'm going to show you how very quickly to take advantage of. One is you can now choose from 2 target calendar templates, either list view or calendar view, and you can choose to have them with or without operational colors. So for people who generally print their target calendars filtered by, say, the month for a particular operation, you probably don't want that option. You probably want to stick with the black and white just so it's easy and fast to print. But for those of you that take full advantage of the digitization of Jobman in your business, you can now have those color coordinations come through from your operational colors onto the target calendar and then digitally print that up and see those in color. So it makes it really clear. As part of that, we've updated the filtration printing so that if you search for just a singular job, the target calendar will now print just on that job, which was a big request from a lot of clients. They love the filtration, the ability to break down on operational services and really refine the calendar to maximize its use for your finite scheduling and planning. But A lot of people also like to use it to be able to say, hey, I just want to print that job, see what those operations look like over this month. Now you can see those in color or without, and then send that off to relevant third parties who need to plan their months accordingly around those jobs. For example, contract installers or trades, people who are involved in your manufacturing process outside of your direct business. So a lot of benefit now. I'm going to take 2 minutes at the beginning of this just to show you how you can take advantage of that. And then we'll move forward into the deep dive for today. So not too much on the slide front today. I really want to dive in and jump in the software and give you an opportunity to see some of these benefits live and how we can use them for your business. So the first one I will do is, as mentioned, I will quickly show you the target calendar improvements. So you can see here, I have this filtered just by a specific job. I have the organizational colors set for the operation. This is quite a large job, so there's a number of days of assembly here that then will break into dispatch before install. I can see it across the month, and now when I actually print that out from the calendar, it will pick up those dates and it will pick up those operational colors, and it will just refine it to that single job. So it gives me a really good, accurate way of being able to refine and print information just for one project or work order very quickly. Now, if you want to take advantage of that, my recommendation is that everybody does this anyway, because there are some really good updates to the way we're handling the print for the PDF. But essentially, if you want to take advantage of any of these new features, and we did mention this, I believe, in the release notes, it's very easy. Go into your settings, go into your templates, go into target calendar, and then simply create a new target calendar. And you can come in here and choose the type, which will be target calendar. And then we've produced a couple of layouts for you. So it's nice and easy to take advantage of the best printing operations here. So you can do the calendar view with colors, list, or list view with colors. And it's that easy. Once you create this, you can give it a name, maybe target calendar with colors new, set it as your default. And now every time you print your target calendar, that will come up for you. You can see I've built the new one here for the target calendar with operational colors, ready to go ahead of this webinar. So very easy to take advantage of. For those of you that have already modified your templates, and this is part of the reason we don't automatically send out new updates to any of our templating, because we don't want to disrupt or corrupt any data that for people that have gone to the length and effort of creating their own very specialized templates. You can still do the same thing. So you can create one of the new templates to take advantage of the better visibility around the month view, the ability to filter based on one job, and maybe want to take care of the operational colors. So you can still do that and then update the target calendar and copy and paste in any of your HTML changes from a previous target calendar template you've used. And that will in turn give you your very own specific custom target calendar with the benefit of all the new features. So very easy to manage and very easy to use. And something I will probably mention just quickly at this point is the fact that in itself is a regular standpoint for our software. So if we release HTML templating updates, we will usually release some new templates in the system for you. If you see that pop up on your what's new release notes each week and you wish to take advantage of it, nice and easy, just follow that process. Go into your templates area, click create new, and that will always give you the most up-to-date format of that template for your business. So nice and easy. Now let's jump into the good stuff. So Catalogue really is the foundational key to how your software will then interact with all of your product items going forward. So one of the things that people often first ask us is, look, hey, we really want to take advantage of this Catalogue idea. What are some options available to me, assuming that I don't deal with Hafele, for example, or I'm not planning on using the integration, or have other suppliers outside of your API? Is it difficult to get this up and running? And the answer is absolutely not. One of the great things about our software is in very important areas, such as your catalog and your contacts and things like that, we have built an export import functionality. Essentially what that means is you can export it out into a particular CSV. We've set up all the headings and fields for you already. All you then need to do is mirror the data, put it in and import into your system. And you can put in as much or as little of the data as you want. There are a couple of fields that are necessary, obviously, such as supplier and a few others, like price, just to bring it into the software to get you started. But that's a very fast and easy way of getting data in. And you can either obtain that information from your supplier, or if you have a previous inventory management system or Excel sheets, or even your accounting platforms can often export this data, which means it's very easy to get this up and running. And then It's up to you if you want to go in and then copy and paste in things like the image URLs from the websites to get even more benefit from the platform. But it's quite easy to set up. The sideline note to that is it's not necessary to do that from the outset. This is one of those big things where people sort of look at this and they go, oh, I absolutely want my catalog in the system. I want to be able to purchase order and add materials to quotes, etc. But that's going to be quite a few weeks of collating data from our suppliers, getting it together. And I sort of get into a bit of a holding pattern. My recommendation always when speaking to clients is never think about this as I have to get it done today. One of the great things about Jobman is you can start benefiting from other areas in the platform, such as the work management, or the quoting management, capacity, all the things that you need to get some return on investment in your business. And then in the background, you can be slowly adding this data in. If you think about it, when you first started with your accounting software, there was nothing in it, right? Didn't stop you using it. It just meant that over the first few weeks, you started putting some things in, maybe some products, some contacts, etc. And over time, that data built up. Jobman can be very much used the same way. If you've got 20 items that you order constantly and you want to get those in straight away so you can start benefiting from them, absolutely. Just jump in and add them in quickly, get them running. And then as you need to be adding more items into the system, you can do that over time. And that really takes a lot of the pressure and the stigma out of having to get everything done upfront. Obviously, for a lot of companies, it makes sense to go in and get their catalog up and running early because there's a lot of benefit to it, a lot of areas you can use it for, but you absolutely don't have to do that. You can feed it data over time. And then when you're talking to the team about that, basically what we're saying to them is, hey, what you're doing now is you're putting an extra couple of seconds of your life into this management so that you can save yourself hours of your life in the future. And they will see that benefit very quickly in their job roles, especially anyone involved in the purchase ordering or inventory management in your business. The other fantastic thing about the export-import functionality in our software is one of the biggest problems most companies face who don't have a proper inventory and control management system is pricing updates. It's a pain. It can really throw you out, especially for your quoting and your purchase ordering. And it can be as simple as a supplier coming in and putting up a small increase from a year's CPI, and you might have 1,000 catalog items for that company. No one has the time to sit there and go through and manually update all those data fields, which you require them to do. It is an important part of your process because the next time you start producing purchase orders or quoting, your numbers are immediately wrong. So one of the great benefits of Jobman is you can very easily export filter by supplier and it'll pull that CSV out. All the data fields are there. We have a unique column called ID. That ID column is relevant to Jobman. As long as you never touch that column, you'll be fine on your exporting and importing. Basically, that ID column is there to say, if I export this item and I make any changes to this item, whether it be the SKU or the price or the cost or the description, and I re-import it, Jobman knows what that ID is and can make the changes to this catalog item without duplication. So the benefit of that is if you ever do get pricing increases, it's very easy to go into Jobman, export your pricing list, insert a column, modify the amount, copy and paste over the values, suck it back in, and in a couple of minutes, you've literally updated your catalog. So all of your quoting, purchase ordering, and job costing going forward is now up to date. You're not losing any profit because things are being incorrectly costed simply because no one has had the time to go in and manually update a system. So keep that in mind. It's a big benefit to our platform. Some companies sort of leave the purchase order and catalog side to the end of their journey with the implementation of Jobman. But it is one of those things I recommend. The earlier you get into it, the better, and the more benefit it will give you across the board. Plus, of course, the ability to then source and purchase order will roundhouse your job costing. So we've got your quote with your time, your services, and now your materials. I quoted $20,000 worth of materials on this job. What did it cost us to source those, whether it be from inventory or purchase ordering? So that's a big part of the catalog management. The idea behind the catalog management then is twofold. One, you can utilize these items, threefold, I should really say. You can utilize these items in quotes now. So whilst you have your range pricing set up to cover your products and fast and efficient quoting in Jobman, it's also a lot of things day to day which you'll order directly to a quote, such as, for example, maybe Hafele pantry. So it's something that your client has seen in your showroom and they get very excited and they want to add to the quote on top of the cabinets they're producing, for example. So you want to add that in. One of the benefits of the catalog So we can add that material with that exact SKU directly to the quote. So it'll have your price, it'll have your margin, which will give your sell to the client, but also that material can then follow from the quote into the job management so it doesn't get forgotten. You know you have to order that Hafele pantry and it's ready to go. All the details are there, the SKU, everything, images all ready for you to add to those purchase orders. So that's one of the first benefits. The second benefit, of course, is then being able to manage your job materials inside your jobs and then create your purchase orders. And the third benefit is then the inventory management. So I want to quickly show you, I've created a job here so you can get a bit of an understanding around how this links and those use cases. So inside our jobs, inside our resources, you'll have your materials list. Now, there's a number of ways to populate this area. By default, when you create a quote and you use materials in your quote, whether they be style items linked to a product, or you just add materials to your quote, this list will populate. So that's one way that this list will populate automatically using the smarts of Jobman. The second more common way that people would utilize this is, of course, manual entry. It makes sense that just because we've created range pricing options, those aren't the actual materials we're going to order. They're not linked to a specific SKU from a supplier. For example, you might buy and manufacture and produce sheet metal items. You have a quote pricing range set up for 3mm cold steel. The reason being is because there are multiple suppliers you can buy that from. From a quoting point of view, it's not important so long as you've got your range pricing set up to cover and you can use the smarts of Jobman's parametrics. We can build the number of sheets out from that quote and then have that come into the material resource, which provides our first part of the reporting, which is the estimate. But when we actually go to order it, we now need to change that range pricing material into a material we're actually going to physically order from a supplier with an actual SKU, whether it be Medallia, or any of the big steel companies that you might buy from. We want to change that item. So for most people, the most efficient way to do that is simply to override the materials in the system and choose from their catalog and choose the correct supplier. It's very easy to do, very fast to filter, very, very quick to change. So that's the most common way people would fill up this list. The third way is, of course, the optimal way, which is for those of you who have the benefit of our CAD integrations, such as Cabinet Vision, Mosaic, Microvellum, CADmaster. Because there's a process between quoting and purchase ordering, which is generally called drafting or production drafting, detailing, however you define it in your business. That is the opportunity then to say, well, hey, we think it's going to use this much based on the quote, but when we actually nest and optimize those materials, we only need to order this much. And that's exactly what CAD is designed for. Now, you might do that process outside of Jobman. That's fine if we don't support your CAD. You'll still do that process. It'll produce an optimized bill of materials. And again, you can still come into the software manually, add those materials, and then be able to purchase order correctly. Biggest benefit being, of course, is let's say we produce and quote on a kitchen and it says, 32 sheets of whiteboard, and then you optimize and nest those materials as part of the job and produce the CNC code for that information. Your CAD program will probably come back and say you only need to order 30 boards. So perfect. We're already getting an efficiency gain out of both systems working together so that your costings are covered from a quote point of view, but your efficiency is improved by the ordering. So for a lot of those integrations, what you can take advantage of is our import functionality. So you can see here, you can import directly an optimized bill of materials from your CAD into our program. It does require the fact that it needs to be a supported CAD program in order to work. And the second thing that we're looking for that's most important is then SKU. So if you set up those materials inside your CAD in order to be able to take advantage of that optimization, which a lot of companies have, you'll also need them set up in Jobman. The great news is the SKUs come from suppliers, so they're universal. So if you buy Blum hardware, for example, or Hafele hardware, and you have those codes set up, so that when you draw a cabinet, for example, in your CAD program and you go looking for a particular soft close hinge, it knows the SKU because that's the one you most commonly buy from your supplier. That SKU is going to match in our system because that's the SKU supplier is going to provide for Jobman anyway. So it's a very easy, straightforward system. And for a lot of companies, they actually like to pull the information out of their CAD and put it into Jobman so that it immediately aligns and they can get benefit from that immediately. So a couple of easy, very fast ways to be able to populate your management here. Now, the big question I get is why? Why are we putting those materials into this area of software? It's a great question. And it's very important for two reasons. Number one, if you want to be able to have actual accountability across your inventory management and purchase ordering process. You need a platform that can manage it and is reliant on that data. So having a place now, rather than just random orders shooting off from all over the place and nobody knowing where they're at, I see it all the times. I walk into companies and people are literally pointing fingers at where's this, where's it, and no one's brain is designed to handle that information. A platform like Jobman is. So we can have that in an accountable and transparent way so that your whole team can see where things are up to. We have statuses to control so you can see when things are ordered, when they're received, when they're in transit, if they're partially received. All of that now becomes easier to manage and it gets taken off people's shoulders. They don't have to worry about that information anymore, which is very important. It might take a couple of extra seconds to take that information and put it in here, but absolutely worth it long term. The second primary reason we put it in here is so that you now have your first metric of estimate versus actual. If you go into your quote and you quote on range pricing materials or materials directly, and you've sent that quote out, so like I said, $20,000, we now need to tell Jobman what it is you can actually go order so we can make that comparison. And the beauty of our system is once it's in here, it can then be sourced, and then that will define the price at which those products become actual versus estimates. We can make sure we're making the allotted profit or overhead margin on those materials. So that's a big win. The second big win is automation. If you've got a couple of purchase orders in your business and they're all off running around making purchase orders for jobs and shooting things out to suppliers and all that sort of stuff and things that is going everywhere and you're losing that accountability, what often happens is things get double ordered. Worse still, you might place multiple orders to a supplier over a couple of days, which is quite inefficient. When you think about it, each of those orders is going to copy freight. There's more handling involved. It becomes smaller batch lots, which is more difficult to then manage from a project management for jobs. Whereas now, having this information in our system, we can batch all that information, put them together and make sure you're just sending single large orders to your suppliers to both mitigate and reduce waste and freight, but also keep it together. So when it lands, the team can see the items that have come in, whether it be allocated to jobs or stock, and know what to do with them immediately. And that's the final benefit of having your resource materials in your job is so long as they are in here and they are sourced from here, we can then link the job number, which gives you full transparency across the run. These items are linked to this job, which have been purchase ordered or sourced from inventory. We can then attach the job number, which means when they're received, the team knows where they're going, which means they can then be pick listed. It's a very important process. Common question we get, and I'm sure someone's going to throw it in the Q&A later, so I may as well tackle it now, is why can't I just go into a purchase order, add a bunch of materials, order it, and then retroactively add to the jobs? And that's a good question. The primary reason the system doesn't want you to do that right now is simply because it doesn't improve your flow. There's still that guesstimation factor going on. You're still going in and you're thinking to yourself, oh, I think we need about 20 boards. You go and order 20 boards. There's no known. So we haven't actually helped you improve your process in any way. And a big part of bringing on an ERP or an improvement of platform such as Jobman is to improve your processes, to actually reduce waste and improve your profitability. And this is an area where, as we all know in manufacturing, labor is a big component of what we do, but materials are equally as big. So being able to manage them, control them, every dollar we can put back in from a mitigation of waste is a massive return to your business, because without materials, we don't have anything to make. So very important that this process exists, and that's why we've done it that way, to absolutely improve your business. And you will notice the benefits very quickly. Purchase ordering management has been a big part of our software for a long time, and a lot of companies utilize it almost unanimously. So how then can we take benefit further from having these materials in? And that's with our fantastic option here called sourcing. So you'll notice that there's a couple of options here. Again, I mentioned locations. So if you have multiple locations in your business and you want to upgrade your Jobman, you can do that and take that module on, which means you can be sourcing from multiple different areas. We also have smarts around order after and required by. So if you're placing these items for the future reference, and so this project doesn't start for a month, you want to get the materials in now so that you're sort of getting an idea around your costings and your projection. That's fine. But then you can set them to order after. What that will do is it means even when I go and source these items, it won't physically add them to the batch purchase ordering until that date. So you won't even see them in your pending items, which is very clever and very important part of the system. The real magic there, as you saw, was this list could be as big as you want. This could be 50 items, 60 items, 100 items, however many resources you need for this particular job or work order, is I can now hit source and Jobman does its job for you. The first thing it does is it runs these numbers via your inventory and sees if it can align any of these SKUs. And if it can go find them, absolutely fantastic. It will pull them and allocate them from inventory. Now those inventory items in my inventory list will be attached to this job, so it's very clear. Even though they're sitting on the shelf, they have been earmarked for a job. Fantastic. You now have transparency and information around that. So again, when we go look at the shelf, we know exactly what we have, what it's allocated for. Secondly, if we don't have the items in stock, Jobman will automatically add them to purchase order. So this gives you that benefit of being able to say, okay, I can very quickly and easily source and manage multiple jobs at a time and be able to pull that information together in a handful of clicks, which is extremely important to a lot of companies with still access to all the information you need. You can see all the imaging descriptions, so it's really clear what we're adding, what we're ordering. Again, that validation of data, so very important. So that's awesome. Now you'll notice that because two of these items are in inventory, immediately our pick list has updated. So this is the roundhouse part to this process, and I'm going to do it at the end, but I just want to mention it now while we're in the area, just so it makes a bit of sense. The idea behind the system is we want to order materials and source from inventory. Then when those materials are received, it's all available in inventory but linked to the job. And then the last part of the process is as the team manufactures and uses those materials, we want them to be able to digitally remove them from your inventory. So you have a really clean, healthy system. And the best part about this is once you get this up and running in your business and you're using it constantly, the need for stock taking will be absolutely mitigated. You can probably do it once a year and just do some spot checks. And as long as the system is being worked and used properly, it will continuously keep everything up to date in your system. So that's awesome. One of the sideline benefits of this is you do not have to utilize the automatic sourcing. You can actually go in and click on an item if you want to make some checks, and this is common for substitute items, and you can see in the system if I have inventory available. The advantage of this is you may have put into your order, for example, this Hafele option here for this corner unit, but you might be sitting on some old stock from another supplier who you no longer deal with, and you just want to use that up. So rather than auto source down, you might come in and say, hey, I can see I've got some inventory around that item there. I'm going to use that up first for this job, and then we can go forward cleanly from there. Similarly, you can also utilize that for your what's called substitute sourcing, which is a fantastic component of our catalog management. What that means is if you've got a default catalog item, let's use whiteboard as an example, because it's very common across a lot of industries. You can sort of understand we have whiteboard, we range price it into our quoting. You might buy that basic carcass board from multiple suppliers, Laminex, Polytech, Worldwide Timbers, GME, whoever you get it from. You probably have a deal set up with one of your suppliers where if you order it and you order it in packs, you get the best rate. So when you add the catalog material to your range pricing, it's set up on a not available to order because it's from range pricing. Again, if you haven't watched that webinar, I highly recommend you go check out the quote webinar because we dive into all that. But then you can link actual materials from your suppliers via substitute to that material. So I might have my actual SKU order number for Polytech. I might have my actual SKU order number for Polytech Bulk, Laminex, GME, etc. So it means when this item is added as a range pricing option to my catalog into my job resource materials, and I click on it, I can go looking automatically if I have inventory for those other suppliers. Main benefit, of course, being is that you might bring in these materials in the Polytech single, for example, because you're isolating by sheet. But when it comes to actual purchase ordering, I want it to come in as part of the pack. And Jobman is intelligent enough to handle pack sizing for your business. So what that means is if this comes in a pack of 30, if I add 6 sheets to this job, 5 sheets to another job, and 10 sheets to another job, when it gets added to the purchase order, Jobman will automatically add those 3 numbers up, 21, but it knows you get the best price at ordering a pack of 30. So it adds 30 to the order so that you've got your pack and you're getting your best price. And when it is received into stock, it will come in with the 21 allocated to the 3 jobs and 9 boards left over for stock. So you've got a lot of benefit there. The other advantage of substitute items, of course, is alternative, excuse me, alternative suppliers. So if, for example, Common example would be Blum hardware in Australia and New Zealand, and probably other places in the world where it's actually you can buy it from multiple different sources. In Australia, that's Blum directly, or Wilson and Bradley Lincoln Sentry. So it's the same SKU, it's the same product, it's the same hinge, but there's three different suppliers you might buy it from. Now, by default, you 99% of the time buy it from one supplier because you get the best price. But if that supplier is out of stock, and this is a really important job, and you're not willing to wait for their refresh, using the substitutes, you can quickly come in here, update it, and pick one of the other suppliers, knowing it will be added out to one of the other orders. So a lot of benefit there, a lot of automation smarts, ready to rock and roll. The benefit primarily to that flow now, though, is in a couple of clicks, I've sourced the items, I've pulled and allocated from inventory, so I'm mitigating waste and improving efficiency. And then inside my pending items are now all the jobs waiting to be ordered. And you can see it's pulled in, it's linked the SKUs, it knows the jobs this is for. And with one click, I can just choose the supplier and it will pull all the items from this available list and put it into a supplier order, ready to go. If there's other important information, such as the warehouse, you can choose that and push that information in. You also don't have to order everything. So one of the great things about the system is I can change the sourcing at this point. So again, if I needed to come back in and Polytech didn't have this available, and I wanted to move it to Laminex, for example, I could do that here. Or if I only wanted to order certain items on this list, this is how you could achieve it. But the easiest automation is the batch ordering. Just come in, choose the supplier, to automatically add them in. So you can imagine over a couple of days, you might have 4 or 5 jobs come in here, and you've got potentially hundreds of materials from different suppliers you need to order. Polytech, Laminex, Hafele, Blum, Wilson Bradley, for example, or whatever your industry suppliers may be. And in just a couple of clicks, your purchase ordering team can confidently and easily come through and collate all that data, which is extremely important. It just takes all that headache and that fuss away from your team. They don't have to worry. And most importantly, now we have full transparency. And yes, absolutely, I can come into this purchase order. Now I've allocated from my job and I can update it and I can come in here and I can now choose to add some stock as well. So it's very flexible. I can come in, Polytech, it's already filtered by the correct supplier, so I can start to see my catalog options. I could filter further by color or range or brand or start typing, or I can see the item I want there. And I just want to add another 20 sheets so that I've got them available for stock, ready to go. So when this order is received, I'm now improving my process and I'll have some available ready in the warehouse for the next job to come through. So that information now comes through. You can see the job numbers linked there. And then because these are unallocated, they will then immediately come into stock. So nice and easy. So far, very straightforward, couple of clicks, and you're able to handle large volumes of quantity data without having to have all that stored in someone's head. How then do we move the process forward? Very straightforward. You can then utilize the system to then choose how you order. We've built a couple of really clever ways in the system, such as email directly out of the system. It will send your supplier a CSV and a PDF copy, so they get that order if that's how you commonly order. If it's a company that supports CSV import into purchase order handling, we've built a number of generic CSVs, so you can just export that and pull it directly into your account. And then if you want to go the absolute full step, of course, you've got the Hafele ordering system where you can hit one click and it will send directly to their API and return that data. Very exciting. So however you order, that's fine. The status will update. And then you'll notice this order now has some new options available to it. The primary two that you will use from here is split or receive. Split is designed for if you place a very large order and you need to then be able to move those materials because the supplier has advised that a proportion of them are going to be moved out on different dates. If it's one day, you probably wouldn't do this, but if we're talking about chunks of weeks or multiple days, it might be worth doing this. The other thing that might happen is you can see here that I've ordered a total of 26 sheets for this supplier order. They might turn around and say, we can deliver 15. So you may intentionally want to split the order because when your team receives it, you want to make sure with 100% certainty that 6 of those 15 are going to this job, so this job can keep moving forward. The remaining 9 will be put into stock. And then when the last 5 sheets do arrive from the second split order, that will also go into stock. So a lot of control mechanism there. The ease of the system, though, is it then becomes very quick, fast, and easy to receive your items. And this is also intelligent enough to handle partial receiving. So if I was to change those quantities there, instead of being fully received, this would be partially received, waiting for the rest to arrive. This can also be handled by your kiosk team. So another big win. Rather than you have to be the ones worrying about it all the time as part of your office management, you can now delegate this operation out to your staff, who are the ones who are most likely to be receiving the goods anyway, and say, every time the goods come in, we want you to check the kiosk, grab the relevant purchase order, check the materials carefully, make sure that everything's been received correctly, and of course, go in and receive so that we're constantly being updated with live information without having to manage it ourselves. But again, nice and easy. That process, very straightforward, very quick. If you connect it out to one of our accounting platforms, you can then even produce your invoicing. So we'll save you double handling there. May as well push this order out, send it off to Xero, for example, and then the bill's waiting there ready to be paid. As easy as that. So that's a lot of automation there. You'll also notice that there's a lot of activity logging in our system. So there's a lot of transparency around who created the order, when they created it, when it was ordered, when it was updated, and when it was received, and by whom. So even on the kiosk mode, if I'd come in and I'd partially received this order and received 2 items, still waiting for the third, and someone else received this one, that's fine. You would see all that information. So big first win from this platform is that transparency of information. You know who you need to go talk to if something goes wrong. It's all there. Because as this has been received, it's now pulled into our inventory, ready to go. So if I check my inventory, I can see now that is as part of my stock items, my whiteboard has come in, and there's my 6 sheets ready to go, allocated to this job, and there's my 20 sheets unassigned, ready for anyone else to then use that, whether it be from auto sourcing from the next job to pull in and start pulling from stock, or to be assigned to another job if we need it for maintenance orders or whatever. The stock is there. It's easy to see. And again, you have your imaging. You have a lot of filtration in your inventory system. So supplier breakdowns, locations, even brands, and of course, categories is the big one. So you can see this information all the time. By default, anything that has been removed from your system, as in it's followed the full process, won't show. So this is just a good way of keeping it nice and clean so you can see what I've got in stock, what's sitting on the shelves that's allocated to jobs. And then as the final process happens where they get pick listed out, they get then removed from this visibility, which also then updates your reporting so that your stock report is constantly updated and always relevant for your business at that given time. But as you can see, very nice, easy process, but a lot of transparency. We can see everything that's going on here. Obviously, when you're first setting this up, it's quite easy to create and add these materials. As a process, we recommend you start with the catalog, get your materials in, and then it means adding stock to your system is very fast, very easy. I can just check the shelves. This is all digital. So the great thing about this is, you grab an iPad, wander around the warehouse, add this in, and you very quickly and easily pulling together your inventory so it's ready to use nice and quickly. Or of course, you could have someone send that information, do a manual sheet and give it to someone. They can sit here and pop them in really quickly and easily. But one of the benefits of having catalog imaging, of course, is you have that validation of data. So you can look at the things on the shelves, make sure everything makes sense, and get that information in here so you quickly and easily benefit from that inventory sourcing. So all that is very straightforward. It'll give you a nice, clean system. The last part to the process, like I mentioned, is simply now we ask the team when they're actually manufacturing the goods, do us a favor. And again, it's going to be done via kiosk mode. So you don't have to worry about it. This doesn't have to be your process, although it can be if you want it to be. Some companies like to have that control. Is simply to come into the materials now and say, okay, everything for this job is being received. So we're going to actually manufacture it, which means the last part to the process is, of course, I want to remove and use those items. And that will now remove them out of my inventory. They're all used up. This has been completed, done. You can see ordered dates and by whom in the material section as well. So there's a lot of transparency around things so you can double check that they have actually been ordered and where that information is up to. A lot of linking, but now if I come back into my inventory system, those line items will be removed from the system. As you can see, there we go. I've just got my 20 sheets. The 6 have disappeared because we've rounded out the process. So that's why we're able to say that once you get this up and running, it will be a very clean, powerful automation for your business. And of course, all of that then lies and dives into the fact that we want to see our valuation continuously for our stock reports. And this is live every day, very filterable. I can do things like exclude removed items. I don't need to see those values, even though they are zero valued because they've been used up. I can check the assignment values. One of the great things about this stock report is people often ask, can I quickly and easily, if you run stock numbers on base items that you order a lot of. Whiteboard is a good example. Hinges, other industries might be sheet metal, channels, all that sort of thing. Things you use over and over. You can also create a filtered stock report, custom report that can check quantities above and below where there are units greater than equal to. So it's easy to very quickly ascertain things you might need to reorder and add onto your stock levels. So very, very clever system. And the best part about it is these numbers, as you can see, that number didn't change because that was zero values, but it's easy for me to manage and see what I'm sitting on at all times. And it's fully digital. I think that pretty much covers that full flow. And I know that was a lot of information powered in really fast, but it's quite an important part of the software that a lot of people do come to us for. A lot of the considerations for an ERP are not just, hey, I'm looking for transparency and improved processes and workflow management, quoting obviously all big returns on investment, but virtually every manufacturer as part of that process definitely wants to think about their inventory management process as well. And we've certainly got you covered. Now, I'm going to dive into some Q&A, but before we do, I'm going to just tick off a couple of quick items because I know the questions are going to come up. So I thought I'd do myself a favor and mention these ahead of time, just so that everyone's on the same page. And if you're watching this video post-doc, these next points may not be relevant because the development may already be done, but I think it's worth bringing up now just so that I might be able to preempt a couple of your questions. One of the big questions we get is, does your system have minimum stock order quantity automation? And the answer currently is no, but the good news is very soon, yes. So we've actually built the framework to be handled in the system so that we can handle minimum stock quantities, which just will save you basically one step. Rather than having to run this report, you can set up minimum quantities versus your base ordering products. And then every time it reduces below that number and you add a batch purchase order, it will automatically add extra amounts onto the order to be able to keep your stock levels at a consistent level. Now, the reason why it's in the framework but not yet been released is because that solves a huge problem, but in itself can sometimes cause a problem on its own. I've seen inventory systems which do this. And one of the letdowns of those systems is if there is a delay in that stock being received into your inventory, there is the potential, and it's a horrific potential, that things could get multiply automatically ordered. And whilst automation in software has a phenomenal benefit to every business, if your business suddenly goes in and over the course of the next 5 days, people add, to an order, add to an order, add to an order from a job, and each time it's running that same check and going, hey, you're out of stock, put another 100 items in. Hey, you're out of stock, put another 100 items in. That could cause horrific problems. And that is absolutely not what we want to do. So as part of that development at the moment, we are both looking at the ability to add minimum stock quantities, but we are also tackling the solving of that problem, which will be the ability to source from purchase order not yet received. So that is the best of both worlds. It will give you absolute automation and efficiency, but most importantly, not blow up your business, which we do not want to do. We're here to solve problems, not create new ones. So that's a big first question I get often, and I thought I'd just tackle that one just in case that was on the Q&A list there. Absolutely not at the moment, but it is definitely coming very soon. And the other question we get is around deliverables of items and scanning with labels. This again, you'll notice, and I can show you so that you know that I'm not just talking out of turn here. The framework for barcode handling has been built into the system already. We're aware of it. It is definitely something we intend for the system to manage. We're just working out the best way at the moment in which to manage that in a system, because unfortunately it's no longer a universal system. It used to be many years ago. There was only one type of system available, which was barcode scanning. It was the system. Now you've got barcodes, you've got GITs, you've got SIN, you've got QR codes. There's a lot of different ways, a lot of different suppliers produce a lot of different information, and it becomes another thing that your team has to manage, which is never ideal. The point to an ERP or a system is to make sure that this is as simple as possible for your team and to actually improve efficiency and process. So we've built the framework in, and we absolutely intend to be able to allow for that scanning to come through. We just have not yet released it. It's probably a development will come in 2025, early 2025, hopefully. But yeah, just in case that was on your question lips and you're like, yeah, I've got to ask that question. Absolutely, we are aware of it. We definitely do want to be able to handle it. The framework is there. It's just not available yet because we need to make sure it is the cleanest possible solution for all teams and all businesses to be able to take advantage of. How do staff add additional items for remakes, recuts? So I'm assuming, Pierre, what you mean by that is that you're looking for the team to be able to add purchase order materials. Absolutely great question. There's a couple of ways of achieving this. The most common way for most people is the flow would go, okay, we're in the manufacturing process and someone's created an alert. That job alert then goes to the production management team who would receive that alert and say, hey, awesome. I need to now get some new materials in to do some recuts. Now, there's a couple of options here for you as a business owner to make that decision around what works best for you. If it's a cup, just like one item, like we've just stuffed up a whiteboard, we need to go to grab another whiteboard. What most people would commonly do is just go into those job resource materials, add the extra board in, create a quick work order notification to send it to the team that needs to be done, and then grab that board from stock and use it up. It's probably something you sit on. If it's a bit more complicated than that and you actually want to measure the costing, the best way to handle that then is to take that job alert and turn it into its own work order. So say job 600, it's going to create job 600.1, and you can build a workflow management called maintenance or recut. It's very common in our system. What that then means is you can add the new materials that needed to be ordered or sourced from inventory into that work order. They then follow the same process. So you can add them to the next orders ready to go to be received for the recuts, or you can source them from inventory ready to go and use them now straight away, or you can make that decision live. One of the benefits of the ability not just to auto source but to view the sourcing means you can go in and see what's available and make that decision on the fly. Now, that will then follow the process. It'll get recut, pick listed, etc. So the whole roundhouse process is covered. But the advantage of doing it that way, even though it's maybe one or two extra steps, is it now will impact your job cost reporting, which is the important part of this. It's not just, hey, someone's stuffed up. It's, hey, someone's stuffed up or something's stuffed up, and we now have an impact on our profitability. So the great thing about Jobman's process is by creating that work order from that job alert, we can now pull that information into the parent for the reporting. So when it does the final reporting and say we estimated $20,000 of materials, we thought based on our margin that we'd be able to buy or source them at about 15 grand. So we should have made about 5 grand there. As it turns out, we only made 3.5 because we had to pull $1,500 on additional materials that we weren't expecting. So that absolutely is one of the primary benefits of the software is you can take advantage of that information and then use this process to really get far better and more accurate understanding of where your waste centers are in your business, which then in turn can lead to process improvement, which will improve that profitability. Secondary to that, you can, at a very simple level, also give kiosk members access to your inventory. You do not have to give them all access, and you have two options with that access. One option is view, the other option is update. So if your business employs a store person who is in charge of managing inventory management, what you can also do is you can say, hey, I'm going to give you access via the kiosk to see that. If something simple comes through, such as, like I said, just a board, or the team comes back from site, and they originally measured out 450s, and when they've actually, 550 draw runners, once they've actually done the installation, they're like, actually, we're going to need 450s because there was some wall component we weren't expecting, et cetera, et cetera. You can have them go on via the kiosk and check that inventory, and as part of your process, you can say to them, look, up to a certain amount, we just give you authority to do it. So swap those materials out, add those 550s back into inventory and take 2 away. The advantage of the system is because they can see from the kiosk what is already allocated, you know that they're not pulling things from stock that shouldn't be pulled. Just because there's 20 of those hinges on the shelf or draw runner sets, doesn't mean they're actually physically available. So being able to see that and turn around and say, well, hey, no, sorry, I can't help you there. They're all allocated to jobs right now. You're going to have to create an alert and let the project management team know. And it's an important part of the process. And it's one of the biggest use cases of job alerts is for damaged parts or missing parts or return items, so that you can keep on top of that flow. And then there's a chain of events in your software that's then manageable and transparent. You can follow it. You can say, yes, I can see here that this kiosk member has created an alert for this job. The reason being, yep, we've damaged a part. I can see it's then been taken, created into a work order. Materials have been put through. I can see the impact on my profit, my chain. It's all a nice even flow. But at the same time, we've also allowed you to circumvent that process a little bit and just make it easy. So great question. Absolutely can be handled by the team in a number of ways.